Assalamu alaikum. I'm Ali Kaj, an injured warrior of the Midwest and a messenger of the covenant, representing the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the seven seals, self-taught one, Master Suleiman, giving us the Injil of the gospel revelations with the Injil key that gives us the understanding of the unsealed scriptures. Check something. This presentation is titled, can't see, The Truth, the Destroyer of Lies. Sure. My sound is coming out, but I don't see it. Test, 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 test. Yes, everything's okay. All right. We're going to begin with the Holocaust. The Holocaust. The Holocaust which is the basis, the reason behind this time that we're living in now. The consequence, the destruction, the consequence for the Holocaust, the dehumanizing, the afflicting of the black man and woman, the afflicting of God's chosen people. We as a people was brought here outside of our will. We were taken from our land and brought across the world to America. And at that time, they called the New World. However, we lost many in the mid-Atlantic slave trade. Like 100 to 200 million brothers and sisters and children. Now, being brought here and our names taken, our language taken. Our nature, everything was taken from us. Everything. We were dehumanized as a people. We've been through the unthinkable. Our skin has been used for belts, boots, hair for stuffing pillows. Our body parts has been used as ornament. We've been hunted like animals. We've been used as bait for animal capture. Our children. We've been beat, whipped, castrated, mutilated, raped, sodomized, hung, lynched. All these atrocities from the time that we were born to the time that we died. From birth back to the earth. And then still mentally terrorized from the mind with this Jesus scenario. The lie of Jesus. You're going to hell when you die if you don't obey Master. Because if you don't obey Master, Jesus is not going to let you in the pearly gates to get your wings and get your mansion and to go up this road with the gold, this roll of gold to get your mansion that you always wanted. Instead, you're going to go and the devil is going to receive you because of what you've done against Master in this world, in your life. So you was also taken in your mental, psychologically attacked. So we have to ask ourselves, this Holocaust of all these years that we've been here outside of our wishes, and being afflicted in a system that is totally built on the backs of a people, totally in 100 degrees against the nature of a people, of the black man and woman, of the original man and woman, totally against them. However, we were made to serve them. Now, this Holocaust, excuse me. So we have to ask ourselves, not ask ourselves, ask the ask a white man, did the white man is what false Israel claimed to have went through in Germany, the 4 years of being gassed or put into the gas chamber, is that worse than what the black man and woman has went through here in America? Is it even close to what the black man and woman have went through? So, in seeing what they say, then we should know, you should know, and how they're speaking and trying to make scenarios greater than what they are, and trying to look over what they have done and what they are doing and was doing. So when the false Jews speak about the Holocaust, ask them, did the black man have a hand in the Holocaust? Did the black man anywhere, did the black man of America or the black woman of America have a hand in what took place in the Holocaust? Which was from 1941 to 1945. So, this is their proclaim to a seat in the Middle East. This is what they proclaim to be their equivalent to being the true seed of Abraham. However, as the false Jews, did they have a hand in the Holocaust? Ask them, did they have a hand in slavery? And what hand did they have in the demise of the black man and woman? And see, brothers and sisters, then you understand what what's taking place, how they value our lives, how they look at us. They call Hitler the scum of the earth. But Hitler hasn't murdered, hasn't raped, sodomized, took a people's nature, took a people's language, had dehumanized the people. Hitler didn't do that. Hitler didn't do that. But they call Hitler the scum of the earth. They want to make it act like they've been through so much. But they were put in a gas chamber. This lasted from 1941 to 1945, which is a fraction, 4 years? A 4-year period. What happened to the black man and woman of America took place for hundreds of years. It took people, it took us from birth to death several times. Birth to death. Terrorized the entirety of life. And who had a hand in it? Those that act like they've been done so wrong. Ask them, did Hitler have a reason behind what he done? I asked them, did America, did the false Jews, did y'all have a reason behind what you done to the black man and woman? Did y'all have a reason why y'all went and took us from our land? Did we do anything to you? Did we go to war with you? What did we do? Nothing. So how would what we are going through and have been through for 400 plus years remotely close to 41 to 45, 4 years of being put into gas chambers? And matter of fact, a lot of the Jews came, pretty much the majority, 90% of them came willingly. No one went to get them. Their rabbis persuaded them to come to the camps. So they trained and came in by themselves on their own into the camps. And a lot of them didn't even know that they were dead until they were dead, because they were gassed. They walked in and they died instantly from gas. So they wasn't even terrorized. However, we're the ones that have been afflicted for 400 years by the hands. The false Jews, the ones that are crying, talking about they're the true seed of Abraham. How? You had a hand And what happened? Your slave ships, you were the base. You were the one going to kidnap us. So the Holocaust is what has led up to today, and what has led up to this judgment. This is not critical race theory. This is not, we haven't been through slavery, because slavery is just minimum overhead for maximum profit, and we were given the minimum. We was fed cow dung, shitterlings, the very minimum. All the things that they were throwing away, and anything that they can find that wasn't costly, was basically free, we were given to eat. That's what we survived off of in the Holocaust. So we don't have to lie. It's countless hangings, countless pictures of hanging, countless proof of America's history of hanging, raping and lynching of the black man and woman, beating. And you celebrate your forefathers, Jefferson, Jackson, Franklin, Hampton, all of them. You celebrate them. Hancock, all of them. Y'all celebrate them. They all was slave owners. They all was terrorists. Because they all had to keep us in check with terrorism. Kept us in check for entireties of our lives. Passed down their slave to their children. And they terrorized us. We was terrorized for hundreds of years. But you ain't calling them out, calling them how terrible they are. However, let us move on to our topic. We're going to go into our topic and set it up. Let's start this.
In the ancient history of the Middle East, a man named Abraham received a promise from God that he would become the father of many nations. The Bnei Israel are the Jewish descendants of Abraham's son Isaac from his wife Sarah. The Bnei Ishmael are the Arabic descendants of Abraham's son Ishmael from his wife's handmaiden Hagar. From the house of Israel, the Jewish prophet Moses would be born, and the Torah would be written. Centuries later, from the house of Israel, Jesus, the Messiah of the Christian faith, would be born, and the New Testament would be written. from the house of Ishmael, the Islamic prophet Muhammad would be born, and the Quran would be written. Through the centuries, the three religions of the Abrahamic faith have collided. In no place more so than Jerusalem. With the fall of the Ottoman Empire after World War I, ancient nations were restored in the Middle East, including the state of Israel, fulfilling Old Testament prophecies. And every U.S. president since has tried with greater or lesser success to build the alliances needed for a lasting peace. Recently, at an unlikely time, with an unlikely group, led by an unlikely president, nations of the divided faiths of Abraham came together against all odds and laid a foundation for peace that bears the name of their common father, the Abraham Accords. President Trump announced the administration's plan for Greater Middle East peace in January of 2020. None of us could have imagined that he was doing so on the eve of a worldwide health crisis.
My fellow Americans, tonight I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak. Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic.
Even though a few countries had responded well to our plan behind closed doors, we had to reckon with the possibility that, as had happened often before, the decades-old Arab-Israeli conflict might take a back seat to more pressing and immediate concerns.
Where were we as an administration in August of 2020? COVID had at that point in time spiraled in control, out of control. Nobody knew what to read because all of the information that we had seemed to be changing on a daily basis. The president's approval rating was probably at its lowest. The feeling within the people in the White House was one of, where was the next punch coming from? And there were successes, but nobody was celebrating them and nobody was recognizing them.
There were moments when there was some risk that this wouldn't come together. World events intervening, challenges in Syria, threats from the Iranian regime.
Israeli politics.
Israeli politics. There were many obstacles on the path. This was not a straight line for sure. We may well fail, but we know that path. We know how that path ends.
All right. Okay. Now, our scripture. Now, it's shared on, on the eve of this document this peace and safety, this signing of this Abraham Accord. 2020, while they were signing this statement or document of peace and safety, this document claiming that it's peace in the Middle East, that these powers or countries had come together into ensuring peace and safety in the Middle East. And at that time, in January, when they was doing this, at the same time, they were being hit by the pandemic, the coronavirus. At the same time. So from that point, what they had did behind closed doors was still behind closed doors. It hadn't had a chance to surface because of the pandemic. And for what the pandemic was causing on the world, in their world, throughout Europe, throughout Asia, throughout America. How it was outbreak and it was killing thousands. So much so it shut down their economic system. However, we started there. Now we're there. Now we have to back up just a little bit. They started with the Jews being Israel, being the true seed of Abraham. From Abraham's wife, Sarah. Then they went to Ishmael. Ben Ishmael being Abraham's son from his maid Hagar. Now, let's get into this. Now, so when going back before that, as they're speaking, saying that the false Jews are Sarah's seed, they take claim. They make these claims. And they state these claims and make these claims, and in it when they said false Israel, nations were set back in the Middle East or the Holy Land or in Jerusalem after World War II or after the war. So they stated at that time made the that closed no it was the Bible completion of Bible Old Testament prophecy when false Israel was set in Jerusalem. And these, so in 1948 they're claiming in their words this was the prophet, the Bible prophecy of the Old Testament being fulfilled. So the things that happen after the true seed of Abraham is to be set in that land. So it states if that being what they're sharing, and that is let me see. It says they're making this claim from what took place in 1941 to 1945. But they tell you Moses that these things had already happened. They walked you up from Sarah and gave you an explanation, gave you a picture of this white Moses, white woman and a white man figure as Abraham, and the picture is giving you like Abraham's son is this. They gave you white pictures. Then they give you the whole thing of Ishmael said Moses. They give you Moses's offspring was given a book, the Hadith, and Ishmael's offspring was given a book, the Quran. Prophet Muhammad brought them the Quran. Moses they said Moses brought them the Hadith. Prophet Muhammad brought Ishmael the Quran. Jesus of 2,000 years ago brought them the they didn't call it the Bible, the gospel. So they gave us these things as all these things are taking place, and then up into the point false Israel has been sit over there that completed, in their words, that brought the Old Testament in that played out in the Old Testament. So in 1948, the Old Testament was completed. In 1948. So there's no peace in the Middle East. However, let's get into this, because it said, how would you know who the true seed of Abraham is? What are the things that the true seed of Abraham will go through? Knowing that Abraham said, my covenant is with Isaac, Sarah's son. My covenant is with Isaac. But what would Isaac go through? What would Abraham's seed go through? So we go back and we just read. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that my seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. So we look into, do your homework. What land were the false Jews taken to? Where were they taken from? Were they not living on that peninsula, in that land? They lived in that country. They rode the trains in and through. They're from that area. They don't speak any native tongue now. So, first of all, it said that it's not their own, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. So, again, false Israel. Who have they served? Who have they served for 400 years? Now, they're claiming that false Israel completed the Old Testament. By being set in Jerusalem in 1948. That's their words. And it said, shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Have false Israel language been taken from them? Did Hitler take their language? Did Hitler afflict them? Did Hitler sodomize them, hang them? Did he take everything from them? Did he torture them? Did this happen for 400 years? 400, not 4. Not from 1941 to 45. 400. A 4 with 100 behind it. 400 years. Were they taken? No, they came willingly. And they wasn't taken across the globe. They wasn't taken from their land. They was living in them lands. They lived on them lands. And also, that nation whom they serve will I judge. And afterwards they shall come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in that fourth generation, now it says in that fourth generation, so where are we at right now? (1619) 2019. So we're going to go all the way back to 1919. So coming out of 1919, that's 300 years. That's 3 generations. So in that fourth generation is what? Now we've in that fourth generation, another 100 years. That fourth generation, that gives us what? 2019. And that fourth generation, they shall come hither again, for the iniquities of the Amorites are not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, the smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those two, in the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, until thou seed. I'm going to move over so you can see this. Unto thy seed I have given the land from the river of Euphrates unto the great river. Let me move this. I'm going to move myself so y'all can see this. I'm going to just... All right. Here we are. All right. Now, in the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, until thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Now, from the river Egypt to the river Euphrates, what land is that? Now, in this fourth generation, all right, there we are. In this fourth generation. Now, this fourth generation, that's where we are now. We're a people that's been taken from their land and enslaved and afflicted for 400 years. Now, this is how you recognize the true seed of Abraham. Because this is the proof. This is what Abraham's seed would go through. And it's not some hypothetical place here. This happened here and another 434. This happened in 1,000 years this way, and then another 1,500 or 1,300 years or so this way, then this will happen. No, it told you. It's very direct. After the 400 years, I will send a plague that's going to kill the firstborn. However, before we get back into the plague, we're going to say, they said that they, on the eve of them making this claim of peace, what did it say? And I'm going to take this one. All right. Okay. Now, about the times and season, brethren, we do not need to write for you are fully aware that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. While people are saying peace and security, destruction will come up on them suddenly, like labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. Now, on the eve of them making this Abraham Accord, saying that they're bringing peace to the Middle East, but in the prayers, if you look back, look who's making the accord. However, we're not even going to go there. Look at while they're making this accord, at the same time, the plague. Okay. The plague. After the 400 years, which was from 1619 to 2019, as false Israel, they had a hand in this? Are they stealing? Have they stolen the black man and woman's identity? Have they been set over in the Middle East to change the narrative that was given through Master Farad Muhammad and given to us by Elijah Muhammad in 1948? They there set there to change that narrative that the black man and woman is the true seed of Abraham. In 1948, so we say 1619, right? To 1919 is 3 years. So we're into our 400 year at this time. However, on 1619 to 2019 is the 400 year period. And after that 400 years was 2020, when they had made this document. It told you the day, early January. Very early January, they made this document and signed, and they're signing off on it. And behind the scenes, they're signing off on it. And as they're signing off on it, they didn't know that the world was in a pandemic. Their world was in a pandemic. So it says, on that night, I will pass through the land of Egypt and strike down every firstborn male, both man and beast, and I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. Okay. I'm gonna. All right. So. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on the throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all his Egyptians, and all and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. So this pandemic that they spoke on, the pandemic that hit them right as the Eve, same time they was making this, they were found out that they were up under this pandemic. After this 400 year period, the pandemic hit them, killing, going through Asia, going through false Israel, going through the European nations, going through America, decimating them, knocking them out. So they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to respond. It shook them up. As you've seen, they said they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how it was going to end. They didn't know where they've never seen it. They didn't know how to respond to it. However, it wasn't in Haiti. It didn't go decimating them. It didn't rip through there. It didn't run through the African continent, where in South Africa, yes, that's where they had the bulk of their contractions of it, because they're Caucasian. But it didn't run through Africa, killing, infecting, causing hospital bag ups, none of that. So much so they killed presidents to get into the area to offer them jabs. Now, they make these claims. They give you their facts. They bring fancy theory to you. But their truth, their facts are weak and lies that can be easily proven through looking at scripture, reading the scriptures, reading what they're trying to pass over as the truth. For one, 1941 to 1945 is not 500 years. False Israel, did you have a hand in what happened and what is happening to the black man and woman of America? Have you stolen their identity? Are you controlling their reputation? Are you controlling how people see them? Are you controlling their culture? Do you control the music that is played? Do you control the way they're seen? Do you control the television programs? So you are in direct control of the demise of the black man and woman. These things can be proven at no time at all. However, they sit and try to pass themselves that, as you see in the picture, you have nothing but white nations, Caucasian, trying to pass themselves off as they are the true seed of Abraham. They're trying to pass themselves off as they're the originator of this planet, the people of God. However, look at their tree. Look at their works. Look at their actions. You can't hide in plain sight unless you're lying and got everybody looking into the ether, into the matrix, in spook world, spirit, not applying everything that is being shared, every part of it, to a people. There's nothing in the spirit, nothing in the spook world. Everything is mathematics. The universe is mathematics. Everything can be proven. And everything that we're sharing can be proven. Now, they want to attempt to cause you to think that these things happened thousands of years ago, centuries. But the scriptures are giving us not rewinding us, it's leading us, giving us the understanding of what we will see in this time. So when you read the Hadith, when you read the Quran, when you read the Gospel, it shares with you. They have similar stories about what you will see in a specific time. They gave specific directions to follow. What the people were to follow in specific time periods to keep them close to doing the will of God, to keep them, because they had to be given books, because it's not their nature. It's outside of their nature. So let us move on. No. Okay. We're gonna move on. What? Let's hold on. So you're looking at all the books. They saying that this happened years ago, and in 1948, all these nations went back and cleared and brought the New Testament, completed the New Testament. So the black man and woman, the only nation, the only people that fits, that you can take the scriptures and they fit to a T. So when Master Fard Muhammad came and shared with the black man and woman that you're the gods, these that are with that you're with, these that have you over here are the devil. They're the devil. So you're living out Exodus. You're the true seed of Abraham. This is what raised the black man and woman up. This is what this is what forced them to change their way, change their system, to change, not correct, change. They had to change, and they had to implement other things to try to change that interpretation. Try to change that reality of the black man and woman being the true seed of Abraham. So they set false Israel. Britain and America and other nations came together and set false Israel in the Middle East to change that narrative, to keep the black man and woman from making a claim to what is just due to them through scriptures. Now, they're going to say that's when 1948 is when they were set back on their land. What happened to the rest of the things that was taking place after? The plagues, the one civilization being taken out and another one being brought in. All these things that the scripture said that hasn't went anywhere. That didn't happen. None of those things happened. So let us move on. The plague immediately came. Now after the plague, they didn't know what to do. They wasn't speaking about a war in 2020. Wars wasn't all around. 2020, they wasn't speaking about the war with China. 2020, they wasn't speaking about the war in Russia with Yugoslavia. Those wars were still under wraps. 2020, you couldn't see that you could see the conflict in with Iran and Syria. However, it was just that they were speaking about. But you were only those, Master Suleiman, Joshua, the Son of Man, was speaking about the wars that was about to take place. Those that are rumors of wars and the three hot spots. But at the time, there was not even nobody talking about this. Saudi Arabia hadn't joined false Israel at the time. However, after that, war appeared all around. In 1 year's time after 2020, during the pandemic. So it said, let's go back to that. I'm going to read that again because no, that's the wrong one. Hold up, bear with me. Well, I can't find the one I want. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to so as war came on all sides, then in the scripture said, but when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation is near. We don't make that up. Its desolation, its destruction is near. When you see it surrounded by armies, now you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies. Its destruction is near. So if its destruction is near, then you know Jerusalem is not supposed to be removed. The false Israel is not supposed to be removed once they are returned back to their home. So, its destruction, its desolation is near. So, false Israel has taken our identity and hid and tried to take cover up under the black man and woman's identity. Sitting over in, the Middle East, American proxy sitting over in the Middle East, that has been set there by Britain and America and kept there by Britain and America. They have been fed, clothed, and protected by Britain and America the whole time. They've also been cahoots with the dragon, the one that fuels Gog and Magog, that keeps them empowered. And they have made an agreement also with Gog and Magog, which is Britain and America, the two world powers, the only two world powers since they were released from the abyss 500 years ago. There's only been two world powers, two European nations. There's only, first there were Britain, and America came out of Britain, which is the same Gog and Magog. So the dragon has kept Gog and Magog, fuel, the House of Sod, which are Indians impersonating as Arabs. Areas that were set up by America. Winston Churchill set those areas up, set up those countries and split those countries up. Renamed everything over there. Now, let me show you that this here, I'm gonna run it, because this here is just I had to, where is that? Video capture part 2. There it is. Okay. This is just ran.
Middle East. A man named Abraham received a promise from God that he would become the father of many nations. The Israel, or the Jewish descendants, and the Quran would be written. Through the centuries, the three religions of the Abrahamic faith have collided. In no place more so than Jerusalem. With the fall of the Ottoman Empire after World War I, ancient nations were restored in the Middle East, including the state of Israel, fulfilling Old Testament prophecies.
You see that? Including the state of Israel, completing Old Testament prophecy. Completing the prophecy. So, to complete the prophecy, you had to go through the covenant. So, they're saying that they completed the prophecy, but where is the covenant? This identifies the true seed of Abraham. And not only that, is the time and what's taking place in the time. Immediately was before they went on, or they was put back in false Israel. Was it a pandemic like never before like this? Did the firstborn of Africa was killed? Was the firstborn of Germany taken out? No. But the firstborn of Egypt, the Caucasian nations, Asian Caucasian, was taken out, was being destroyed. The firstborn, the elderly. When the plague came out, COVID-19, the elderly was being taken out by the thousands and thousands. False Israel wasn't passed over. America wasn't passed over. It didn't affect the black man and woman in America. It didn't affect the original black man and woman in America. It might have affected the demons, those that have devil daddies, their dads are white or Caucasian, through rape, 400 years of rape. Half of the black nation are demons. It's 17 million demons and 17 million original black men and women. It didn't go and destroy Haiti. It didn't go destroy blacks in Africa. It said the blood of the lamb, the DNA of the lamb is what you had to have, and that will protect you. So the Passover happened after the 400 years. The Passover came immediately after the 400 years. Now, go do some homework, because what happened after the 400 years? What happened? The Passover happened. The plague sent to kill the firstborn of Egypt. And then it passed over those with the blood of the Lamb. So it passed us over. Now, in passing us over, so it passed us over. But you see war war popped up and war is imminent. War is taking place and war is on all sides of America, in and out. 2020 has put so much, ever since 2020, America has not been the same. Like they said, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how they're going to recover. They're shaking from the inside out. War has instantly happened, popped up all around them. Just like the angel shared, just like Master Suleiman, or the messenger of the covenant, shared. And it's shared in this time that the seals will be broken of the Injil, the Gospel of Revelations. So they want us to keep making these accusations from scriptures. They want to act like they're the only people entitled to scriptures. But the scriptures are being made reality right now. You can't hide behind lies and deceit. There's only one that it shares with you. This is the Abrahamic covenant, not 41 to 45, where they don't have no proof of being a slave, being afflicted for 400 years. Afflicted, being your language, everything been taken, kidnapped, and took into a whole nother land. Only the black man and woman can bear witness to this right now. And everything that is to happen after that is taking place. The Passover happened immediately after the 400 years. 1619 to 2019. Now, war is on every side. America has not had any rest since. It is not getting better. America is under pressure. The scriptures are coming to fruition. They're being brought in by day. We've been sharing with you what is going to spark that war in the Middle East. The JCPOA. Iran is not going back into the JCPOA. Who is going to war in the Middle East? Master Farad Muhammad. What did it say? Oh, I didn't pull that up there. I didn't pull it up. But I'll read it to you. I didn't pull it up. I didn't have it. Get it. And occurred war in the heavens. The heaven. The Michael and the angels is of him of the two war with the dragon worried and the angels of it. So Michael, Master Farad Muhammad, and his angels, Iran and Syria, will go to war with the dragon, Saudi Arabia, and his angels, America, Britain, and false Israel. So look at what's taking place in the Middle East. How is it setting up? Just like that. This trigger will be the JCPOA And it says this is the abomination of desolation. This is the shock of the hour. Now, we've read, when you see Israel surrounded, now you see war all around Jerusalem. You see armies all around Jerusalem. And the scriptures say, when you see this, know that it's destruction is nigh, but it's desolation. So I'm gonna pop that. Let's get that back up there. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation is near, its destruction. And that's what's taking place. The war, this war, pending war, that will be sparked by this JCPOA, America has put off, and they're calling and making it known and really trying to set up and say that, you know, you have to watch how they doing things. We got to call all our players. They want this. We can't give them that. We can't insure them anything, and we can't give them that. So they don't think nobody else can think. Think everybody's dumb. So they're planning. So before they let them know what their decision is, they're letting all the other players know the decision, and they're planning to make their decision and to make their move at the same time. They think that Iran can't see this. They said they're stalling. But we don't want the plan. We don't want to go into this agreement. No way. That's what Iran sharing with them. We don't want to return into this anyway. So y'all know what it is. So brothers and sisters, this is where we are in time. This is where they trying to fool you and keep your mind like as if false Israel is the true seed of Abraham. But none of these things, they can't back nothing that they say with the scriptures. They can't back it not only with the scriptures, but they cannot place themselves in the time that the scriptures are being lived out. And there's only one true seed of Abraham that the scriptures give a definition to what to look for and how to recognize the true seed of Abraham. They will be taken from their land and took and kept in a land made to serve a people for 400 years and afflicted. And afterwards, these things will happen. Afterwards. So, we're in the time of the abomination of desolation, the shock of the hour. When this war kicks off in the Middle East, that will be any day now. Any day. Any day. And Iran and Syria, Michael, Iran and Syria, Master Farad Muhammad, Michael, Iran and Syria is going to kick the dragon. Saudi Arabia, they're going to kick Britain and America out. They're going to remove them out the Middle East, run them up out of there. And they're going to siege and destroy false Israel. And it says, when you see her surrounded by armies, know that her desolation, her destruction is nigh. So, when you see this, the shock of the hour is that the world is going to be shocked to see that Iran and Syria has taken the dragon, Britain and America, kicked them out the Middle East, and has sieged and destroyed false Israel. It's going to shock the world. Hearts, minds, heads is going to fall. People's heads going to explode. Hearts going to explode. Aneurysms, heart attacks. Blood pressure is going to go through the stroke out. The shock of the hour. Because they're going to come to reality. All those around the world that has did any little thing to the black man and woman, gonna come to know for sure that the black man and woman of America is the true seed of Abraham, the original black men and women of America, because we are infested with demons that are master seed. They're not us. But this is what time we are in. This is what they're claiming. They're making claims. They're up here talk the Abraham Accord. And when you see they're calling peace in the Middle East, but the peace didn't last long. Because there's no peace. It won't be no peace until the black man, till the true seed of Abraham return back to his land. And you will see that's what's gonna be the shock of the hour. The shock of the hour. No one, they don't think no this is what's going, the rapture's on his way back, and Israel just about to kill their, okay, we'll see about that. We're gonna see. And we're gonna see. And with that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to bring this to a close. The truth, the destroyer of falsehood. The truth is the destroyer of falsehood. They can make these lines up, try to get you to think that all these things is in the past, and then try to pass it off in the past, but bring it to today's time, or bring it into the now, but past, get you to thinking everything in the past, but we're in the now with this. This is taking place now. We just was set here. But it's supposed to happen hundreds of years ago. So the outcome to happen hundreds of years, or are they saying that the 1941 to 1945, this is what they're considering, this is what is supposed to happen? Or did it happen then? They can't prove it because they know it didn't happen. They know that the only people that was taken from their land, is the black man and woman. This the truth has proof. They don't have no proof at none whatsoever. And did they help? Look at, is this the works of gods? Or look at their tree and the fruit that it produced. False Israel is a terrorist state. They're Satan. Everything about them is cherub. America is, look at this fruit. Look at this history. Look at both terrorists. Look what they done to the black man. Look, false Israel hand all over this. America's hand is all over false. They're both entwined together, Satan and the devil. And they're both on their way out. And with that, I'm going to greet you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.